Thank you so much for coming. My name is Erika, like Anthony said. And first, I want to thank REI, because isn't this an awesome thing you're doing for us tonight? So, just to recap what Anthony said, I'm a backpacker, a photographer, an adventurer, an outdoor lover, and I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about inspiration in the outdoors and hopefully show you some things that inspire you as well as things that inspire me. Basically, there are three things that inspire me, and they are other inspirational people, seeing places that are inspirational that I might want to go, interesting places that I've never been before, and actually going on the adventures themselves, because you can look in books all day long and dream all you want, but until you've actually done one, you don't get the full benefit of the effect, right? So, a case in point, the picture that you're looking at right now is one of my pictures I just took a couple weeks ago. Anybody know where it is? Do we have any hikers out here that get out into the wilds? Yeah,
Baker?
It is. It's the northeast side of Mount Baker at Artist Point, yeah. This year is the first year I've gotten there. I've lived here for over 12 years, and I've tried, and I've tried, and I've tried, and this is the first year. It's only melted out. The road is only snow-free for about 8 to 10 weeks every year, and so you really have to be on the ball to get up there. And I think they've already had their first snow back in again.
They've already closed it.
Yeah, they've closed it again. It's done. So I got up there about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I get out as often as I can, because when I can see things like this, you know, color and a new snow in the mountains, this was a couple of falls ago, it just carries me through the day, right? How many of us don't need inspiration like this to get our tuchuses off the couch and actually, yes, I'm going to go there. It's not always the easiest thing, right? And the scenery. This is one of my favorite haunts. Anybody know where this is? This is Wallace Falls. So it's just off Highway 2. Jump in the car, go out Highway 2, and it's about an hour and a half walk up to a view like this. And I just happened to catch it right after a fresh snow. So I took that picture, and that's one that I'm pretty proud of. That gets a lot of mentions. And sometimes, ladies, we just need a view, right? So, one of my photographic goals, I'm an aspiring rock climber, but one of my photographic goals is to actually get good enough at climbing that I can follow these guys up, or get up ahead of them and shoot back down on them and get those awesome pictures that you see on the cover of Climbing Magazine and things like that. That's my next dream goal for my photography and my climbing. So, always looking for the next thing. This is just an interesting, a different thing that we did. Your regular hikers go out during the day, right? Photographers go out at sunrise and sunset. That's when the pretty light hits the mountains. And crazy people go out in the middle of the night and shoot the stars. So we went up to Tipsy Lake, and it was June, so there was a lot of daylight for us to get up there, and we waited until about 2 a.m. and started just doing time-lapse photography of the mountains and the things that we love, the places that we love to be. The actual benefit that we didn't anticipate that happened on this one was the climbers were ascending Mount Rainier, and so that's their lights, their headlamps, as they're walking up the mountain, and you can actually see the progress that they make. This is about a 10 to 20 minute exposure, so my shutters open that long, and that's why the stars are all long and blurred.
Oh, that's cool.
So a lot of these are just reminders to myself that I did something cool. Wow, yeah, you hauled that 45-pound backpack up 5,000 feet in snowshoes, you know, and you go, and I still have that far to go till I get to the top. This is, we did a snowshoe trip to Camp Muir in January, January 2011. We just happened, how many sunny days do you get in January? We got the most beautiful weekend to do this, and so we didn't get snowed on or buried or anything like that. We got to the top and we got this. So there are payoffs, and they're being able to sit up there and go, wow, all that work was worth it. And I got a great workout too, and I can do this. And the reason I backpack and go outside to the things that I go to is because you can't drive a car here. There aren't a lot of people up here, and you get the solace that you need. You get the time away, the unplugging, I guess.
Yep.
See creatures. The enchantments are one of my favorite places. If you haven't heard of it, it's in the Alpine Lakes Wilderness over by between Wenatchee and the part that just burned a whole lot.
Yeah.
But this was a goat that befriended us. They're so friendly over there. And he just happened to step into the perfect light one morning, and so I got that face shot of him. And sometimes we go out to remind ourselves why we have our home comforts, right? So after 5 or 7 days out, sleeping in a sleeping bag in 30 and 40 degree weather, getting snowed on in August and things like that. So, you know, I go out to remind myself of that this was fabulous. And just so you have some kind of background on this one, this was 3 or 4 years ago. We went to the Enchantments, and it was exactly 5 days after that 103-degree day we had in Seattle. Remember that? The hottest day ever on record. And we got up there and we got snowed on a week after it was 103 in Seattle. It snowed August 15th or 16th, whatever it was. Maybe I'll try. Alpine Lakes, cleansing, sure. I got it up to my thighs and I chickened out. But for our payback then, we get things like this. And this is the sunrise the next morning, where we just about cashed it in because it had been cloudy for 3 days. And this, one of my favorite shots of that beautiful sunrise. So you do have to get up to get sunrise. Okay, so those are some of my local places. This is something completely different. One of the people that inspires me is Christina Mittermeier. Does anybody know that name? She is a conservationist, a photographer, a biologist, and she founded the International League of Conservation Photographers. And I met her through seeing one of her talks, and her talks just moved me. What she does is she goes down and spends a month every year with some of the tribes in the Amazon, and she's grown up with them. She sees the kids growing up, and she's got all these fabulous stories about this tribe and the story that she's telling. I wish I could tell you the whole thing, but I have to give you the cliff notes. What she's doing right now is working to save these cultures because the Brazilian government wants to put in a dam which will close down the river that these people used to live, and it will actually effectively move them all to reservations. So she gives a totally moving talk about these people. But the reason I included these is because she inspires me to go on my next adventure. The fact that she can go and live where there's not only no electricity and running water, she's bathing and eating out of the same river. It's in the Amazon. She talks about the bugs that can crawl under your toenails and hatch. And I thought, okay, if she can go down and do that, I can haul a backpack up 10 miles and 6,000 feet and not complain about it too much, right? But also I included these 3 specific slides because they're just a great show of, isn't she a fabulous photographer? She does such a great job capturing people. So again, these last 3 slides are hers, not mine. But she loves to show the people in their natural setting. And so this is people and kids in nature. And doesn't that just, even that, inspire you to want to go out and play in the water, right? Okay, and then I'm going to actually cut the slideshow for a second and show you a video. It will be silent, so pretend you're in the 1920s, please, just for a second. And it's a video of my largest adventure to date. At 10,000 feet in Nepal, which got me to the base camp of Mount Everest. And so we're already starting out 10,000 feet here. This is actually a plane leaving going back to Kathmandu, but we flew into this airport, and when you land, you'll notice that it's tipped. They can't put jets on these runways because they're too short. That's me actually getting rocked backwards by the jet wash, or the prop wash, as they're spinning up the props to get as fast as they can before they let the foot off the brake. I'm going to zoom in here in just a second, and you watch where the wheels come off the runway. It's the most amazing thing. You're like, there's a cliff there, and right there, on the runway, just before they go off the cliff. They do this up to 10 times a day, and you'll notice, you look really carefully, you see the dot, white dot up there? That's his partner plane. So as soon as these guys have clearance to leave off this airport, one gets to leave Kathmandu, and they switch, and they land on the same runway within minutes. This is me packed into a plane with part of my crew. We got separated at this point, but we're in this tiny little plane. These are famous Nepali musicians, and so I'll tell you just more about this in just a second. But so we're in this teeny little 7-person plane, 2 pilots, and this is that runway, that same runway. Me in the plane running the camera going, okay, let's see how this works. So we're going to get off the ground. It was a much smaller plane, so it popped off the runway right there. Now, if you just watch for a second, you'll see where the end of the runway is, and you'll see where the land drops away right There is the end of the runway. Okay.
Yeah, that's neat.
And this is Nepal. This is the foothills of the Himalayas at about 10,000 feet. I think we're so used to our minds getting used to the things around us, right? Our creature comforts, our commute to work, our what we prepare for dinner, what our stove looks like. We don't even pay attention to that anymore because it's just are taken for granted. And when you're given the opportunity to go see the other side of the world or another culture and how they live, it really opens your eyes to the things that you have and don't have, and the things you need and don't need. And that was one of my huge lessons. This is a temple in Kathmandu. It was an adventure, like I said. The first thing you might notice about it, well, I'll tell you first that it was a relatively high-profile project that we were on. I was the photojournalist for this group of famous Nepali musicians. We were doing an environmental effort. The tall guy just left of center is a famous mountain climber, and he led the group. He lives here in Redmond. He's a Sherpa, and he took this group of us up the Everest Highway to raise awareness for the environmental issues that are going on over there. Because they have a bunch of glaciers at Mount Everest, right? And when those start to melt, who's going to feel it first? The people that live under them. So they did awareness concerts, and I got to be the photojournalist for that, which was fabulous. I loved it. The person in the middle with the black hat is the Prime Minister of Nepal. So I got to meet the leader of a country, which was pretty phenomenal. And the one thing that you probably all have noticed by now, how many women are in that picture? This one, and that's it. I was the only woman in the room. It was such an honor to be in a male-dominated society in meeting the Prime Minister being the only female. It was stunning. Stunning. He greeted me first. I was very, very privileged. And then the trek was just, I couldn't take a bad picture. I took 6,000 of them. I was on the actual trail for 3 or 4 weeks, and I went across things like this, you know, this Indiana Jones stuff, you know, that I never thought I would have the chance to do. This is our group going across my favorite bridge. I didn't anticipate falling in love with the culture, but man, they are just amazing people. So that was something that I was moved by as well. And it is called a highway, but there are nothing with wheels goes up it. So it's all foot traffic for about 45 miles. Anything that has to get up the roads is taken by these guys. They're the delivery trucks. It takes them about 9 days to get from the bottom to the top. And this is just the mountains, 22,000 foot mountain, and the highest monastery that's there. And this is also one of my favorite photos. So I'm in the courtyard of the monastery, and this is a reflection of the Himalayas in the windows of the monastery. This is not taken from an airplane. I've been up this much some days. Okay, so I'm standing on a mountain peak. This way we look back down toward the village where we were staying that night, and if I turn around and look the other way, I was looking at the very first view I got of Mount Everest. This is the cover of my book. So that's giving me a good time to say, I was moved enough by this adventure that I wrote a book about it. It's with being wrapped off downstairs, so you have a chance to win one. They're not sold in stores. I self-published it, and if you are interested, if you need a winter read, please come visit me afterwards. I'm happy to give you one of my books. They're also available at Soul Food Books in Redmond. And in case you ever get in there, they have about 10 copies left. That was one of my favorite mountains, Tom Sirku. And this was my very favorite mountain. So this is our group down here at the bottom. And the size of the mountains there is just, it's phenomenal. This is about a 22,000 foot mountain, so higher than Mount McKinley. Sunrise at Everest shot. So we're about 13,000 feet right here. Woke up, I always woke up before sunrise. It was just the inner photographer was burning, and I would wake up at 2 in the morning and go, is it dawn yet? Because I wanted to make sure to not miss the dawn and the pretty colors that happen. So this is, the little pokey one on the far left there is actually Mount Everest. I didn't know that at the time, so one of my stories is that I woke up, I looked for where the light was going to be pretty, I set up my tripod, I froze my tail off, I waited, I took pictures, and then the leader of the crew came up and said, oh yeah, you can see Mount Everest from here. You know, it's not very, you don't get to see it very well, but yeah, that's it. And I went, wait a second, that's Mount Everest? And I had to flick through my pictures and make sure that I got it, because I had no idea. Animals, you know, you don't get to see a yak every day. I thought it was really cool. So there's a yak at 16,000 feet. And this is their national bird. It's called the Dompe, and it's related to the peacock, obviously. But you know, when you go to a place like this, you realize how they pull from nature to color things. If you remember that village down below from the high mountain, they color the roofs of their houses like their birds are colored. You know, it's so neat. And then, obviously, I'm going on my own adventure here, but I want to remind women, because we're often very bad at this, celebrate your adventures and celebrate your successes to get yourself further on to the next one. Here I am standing at 18,500 feet in the sky. I got there on my own accord over something like 12 or 14 days, and I'm looking across at the tallest mountain in the world for sunrise, and it was a pretty fabulous experience. Like I said, I traveled with famous people, so they had stories, and I captured some of their stories. I learned all about the culture, and I was traveling with a famous climber who had stories himself. So how could you not write down what you learned from that? I was completely full of stories by the time I got done, and most of them are in the book. So go get your own adventure is just the summary. Hopefully that's been interesting and inspiring and makes you want to go take your own. Thank you guys so much.